There is a quiet anxiety that hums beneath the surface of our modern lives, a relentless pressure, a feeling that you are running on a treadmill, working harder and harder just to stay in the same place. You are told this is a personal struggle, a matter of budgeting, of ambition, of discipline. You are told that the economy is a complex but ultimately fair system, and your success or failure within it is your own. This is the foundational story of our age, and it is a lie. The financial stress you feel is not a personal failing, it is a design feature. It is a rational response to participating in a system that is by its very nature irrational, unstable, and engineered against you. What if I told you that the very concept of money you hold in your mind is a carefully constructed myth? What if I told you that nearly every dollar, pound, and euro in existence was not created by a government, but was brought into being out of nothing by a private bank the very moment someone went into debt? This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not a metaphor. This is the documented operational reality of our global financial system. And to understand it is to understand the world as it truly is. Let us begin by dismantling the first and most powerful illusion, the role of a bank. We are taught a simple, intuitive story. People earn money, they deposit their savings into a bank for safekeeping. The bank then takes that pool of existing money and lends it out to other people who want to buy a house or start a business. The bank is simply an intermediary, a warehouse for money. This story is completely and fundamentally false. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever in your entire life seen a news headline that read something like, "JP Morgan Chase runs out of depositors' money to lend. All mortgages halted until further notice"? Have you ever heard of a bank having to turn away a credit-worthy borrower because their vaults were empty of savings? Of course not. It never happens, and the reason it never happens is because banks do not lend out pre-existing money. When you go to a bank and are approved for a loan, let's say a $500,000 mortgage to buy a home, the bank does not check its accounts to see if it has $500,000 of savers' money available. Instead, something far more profound occurs. The bank, with a few keystrokes on a computer, creates the money right then and there out of nothing. It performs a simple double-entry accounting. It creates a new asset on its books, the $500,000 loan which you are now obligated to repay. Simultaneously, it creates a new liability, a brand new $500,000 deposit in your bank account. Let me repeat that so there is no ambiguity. The act of creating the loan simultaneously created the deposit. That $500,000 you now have to buy your house is new money. It did not exist anywhere in the world seconds earlier. It was typed into being. This is not a secret. The Bank of England, in a 2014 report titled "Money Creation in the Modern Economy," stated it plainly, quote, "The reality of how money is created today differs from the description found in some economics textbooks. Rather than banks receiving deposits when households save and then lending them out, bank lending creates deposits." End quote. The vast majority of money in our world, over 97% of it in an economy like the United States or the UK, is this digital money, created by private banks in the form of loans. The physical cash printed by the government is a tiny fraction of the whole. This means the extraordinary power to create the national money supply, a power you would assume belongs to the state, has been effectively outsourced to a network of private, for-profit corporations. The community bank across your street, if it has a banking charter, is quite literally a private mint. And this is where the system's fatal flaw is encoded. This is the source of the treadmill. The bank creates the principle of the loan. It typed the $500,000 into existence, but it did not and does not create the money that is required to pay the interest on that loan. Over 30 years, with interest, the mortgage on your $500,000 loan might require you to pay back a total of, say, $950,000. The bank created the initial $500,000, but that additional $450,000 of interest? It was never created. It does not exist. So where are you supposed to get it? You are forced to go out into the wider economy and compete. You must fight to earn that interest money from a pool of money that is itself almost entirely composed of the principal from other people's loans. You are competing with every other family, every other student, every other business owner who are all in the exact same position, frantically trying to capture a piece of a money supply that is perpetually smaller than the total amount of debt owed. This is a system-wide game of musical chairs. Because there is always more debt than there is money, defaults are not a risk. They are a mathematical certainty. Bankruptcy is not a bug in the system, it is a required feature. The game is designed to produce losers, who will then have their real tangible assets, their homes, their cars, their businesses, seized by the banks in settlement for their failure to pay back the digital money that the bank created with no effort and at virtually no cost. This is the pressure you feel. It is the engine of perpetual artificial scarcity. The economy must constantly expand. More and more debt must be created, not necessarily for progress or innovation, but simply to inject enough new money into the system to allow older debts to be serviced with interest. When this process slows, the system seizes up and we have a crisis. And this crisis, this engineered failure, is weaponized. It is used to enforce a brutal double standard that defines our world. For the average person, for you, debt is treated as a sacred moral obligation. It is a cage. It is a claim on your future time, your labor, your life energy. If you cannot pay, the consequences are severe and deeply personal. You lose your property. Your wages are garnished. Your life is constrained. The psychological burden is immense, and for a tragic number of people around the world, the hopelessness of an escapable debt cycle leads to suicide. They are expected to pay for the bank's invented numbers with their actual lives. But for the financial elite, for the architects of this system, the rules are entirely different. For them, debt is not a cage, it is a tool. It is a powerful lever. An individual wealthy enough to start a private bank can profit directly from this system of money creation. A corporation can borrow billions at near zero interest, money created out of nothing, not to survive, but to acquire real assets, to buy out competitors, to consolidate power and wealth. And when their high-stakes gambles fail, when they lose, their debt is not treated as a sacred obligation, it is treated as a strategic problem. A corporation can declare Chapter 11 bankruptcy, a legal maneuver that allows it to shed its debts, cancel its pension obligations to its workers, and reemerge, cleansed, to profit again. The owners are shielded from personal liability. And when the entire system they have built becomes so reckless that it threatens to collapse upon itself, as it did in 2008, they are not told to tighten their belts. They are not disciplined. They are deemed too big to fail. Their toxic debts are not foreclosed upon. They are absorbed by the public. They are bailed out by governments and central banks using the very same power of money creation to save the creators of the crisis. The promise is renegotiated for them. For you, it is ruthlessly enforced. So let us call this system what it is. It is a privatized system of money creation that functions as the most sophisticated and efficient engine for the upward transfer of wealth ever devised. It indebts the population through a currency created from nothing, and then uses a mathematically guaranteed scarcity to funnel real property, resources, and human labor from the many to the few. The anxiety you feel is not a personal weakness. It is a correct and sane response to an insane system. The struggle you face is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of a game that was rigged before you were born. To see this is not to give in to despair. It is to begin the process of liberation. A problem cannot be solved until it is correctly identified. An illusion loses its power the moment you recognize it as an illusion.
The first and most powerful act is to refuse to believe the lie, to see the cage for what it is, and to understand that the numbers on the screen are not as real as the world they are used to control. So, where does that leave us? I know this is a lot to take in. It's heavy. It's meant to be. It fundamentally challenges the story we've been told our entire lives, and it probably raises more questions than it answers. That's the entire point. I genuinely want this to be a conversation, not just a broadcast, so I need you to go to the comments right now and answer this for me. What is the single biggest question that this information raises for you? Is it about the role of the government? Is it about how interest can possibly be paid? Is it about what a different system could even look like? Don't worry about having a perfect question. I want to see what you're thinking, and I will be reading through them to guide what we investigate next. This is just one thread. We've pulled on how money is created. We haven't even touched on the myths of taxation, the true mechanics of inflation, or the history of debt jubilees. If you believe these are critical conversations we need to be having, and you want to continue pulling back the curtain on the systems that secretly shape our reality, then do two simple things for me. First, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming. And second, ring the bell for notifications, because the algorithm doesn't always show you what you need to see. We are just getting started. Thank you for watching, and never, ever stop questioning.